My name is Coach Tony.
Hi, I'm Josh Collins, and welcome to
the Toben Podcast.
I always say this, but usually we always say, welcome to Talk Your Exposure, Devontae. But obviously, as everybody knows, we are now live and in tune with a Toben series. As we continue on with the series, we're going to have better and better guests. And today we have a legend. But before we get to the legend, though, I got to ask you, Devontae, how you doing, man?
I'm splendid, man. I'm splendid. The weather's getting warmer. It's good to be here.
And let me see that jersey you got on, though.
You know, shout out to Toben. Toben series, we had to put it on for the rest of the series, for the whole series. For
there we go. I'm gonna have to find mine from my archives as well. But today we are with a basketball legend. I'm saying it because everyone else says it too. Basketball legend, a Vaughan legend, a York Region legend, a Windsor legend, but also a Toben legend. We're alongside Josh Collins today. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. That's a lot of legends you're throwing out there, though.
Hey, man, I have to do it, bro. I have to do it. You're a legend. I don't know what to tell you. But Josh, we always get the show started off with a game. Divide is going to take you away, and we're going to get this series started.
Yeah, Josh. So how we've been starting this series is we play a game called Overrated and Underrated. For you, we're going to switch it up here today. You have been in a long relationship, right? You've been married for a long time now. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a series of basketball players and couples, and you're going to tell me if those couples are overrated or underrated. But I'm also going to give you some food combinations, and we're going to go from there, okay? First one, we'll take the elephant out of the room. Stephen and Ayesha Curry.
Overrated or underrated? To be honest, I can't say they're overrated. So I would definitely – the problem is I feel like they're also underappreciated.
Ooh.
So people don't give that dynamic, that couple, their just dues. And for that reason, I'll say underrated.
Okay. No, I could definitely agree with that. All right. D. Wade, Gabrielle Union.
Man, I don't know. That one's a tough one. That one is underrated only for a lot of the things that they've done recently. Obviously, D-Wade doing a lot more for the LGBTQ community, for his daughter, and obviously what they've been doing for the Black Lives Matter movement and speaking out and using their platforms. So I'll say underrated.
Okay, let's switch it up here a little bit. Ketchup on rice.
That's disgusting. That's overrated. The thing is, I'm gonna say overrated, but I do know that my brother swore by it when we were growing up. He had a nice little phase there of a couple years where he put ketchup on rice. But I'm saying overrated all the way.
Okay, LeBron and Savannah James.
The thing is I don't feel like she's as present in the public as he is. I feel like his presence carries more weight than she does, but obviously she provides the support. So for that, I say that she doesn't get her just dues, so she's underrated. Obviously what LeBron does is monumental at this point.
Agree. Corn on the cob.
It's underrated. That's delicious.
Okay, I agree with you. All right, we're gonna go with Russell. We're gonna go with Russell and Nina Westbrook.
I don't even remember who his wife is.
You don't remember who his wife is? Okay.
So they're under. I guess they're underrated.
They're underrated by default.
Like many ratings right now.
Okay. Last one for you. I see Bowles. I say bulls. What is it? I see bulls. I say bulls. You know what I'm talking about?
Nope.
The bowls with the fruits and the fruit, the kiwis, the strawberries, the yogurts, the nuts, they dash it all in the bowl. I say bowls. There it is. You know what I'm talking about?
Nah, I call that like trail mix or something.
Kind of. You know what? We'll give you one more then. Russell and Sierra. Russell Wilson and Sierra.
Overrated.
Why is that? If you could give a little 2 cents in there. Because I agree with you.
I feel like a lot of people say that they could do no wrong, but at the same time, not really making big statements, bold statements. A little bit of flying in that politically correct area. Don't want to ruffle any feathers. And just based off of some of the other couples that you mentioned, being a little bit more forthcoming with their beliefs, I'll say overrated.
All right. I'll leave it at that. Good job.
Hey, Josh, I got to ask you, though, you're currently in Dubai. Talk to us about what's going on over there right now.
Actually, I'm currently in Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi is the capital. Dubai is the fancy place that everybody wants to visit. Abu Dhabi is kind of the more central hub if you're actually over here. Dubai is where the tourists are at. But everything going on over here as of right now is way more normal than Toronto. They handled the COVID situation a little differently. They were very, very strict off at the very beginning, off rip. I think it was right before they went for like their March break, which was late February, early March. They shut down everything. We had a curfew. Schools were closed. Extracurricular activities stopped. And they didn't start back up until September for adults above 18.
Oh, wow.
Kids between the ages of 18 and 12 didn't get to start up until January. Kids under 12 didn't get to start back up until like February this year. So almost a whole year for those kids with no sports. So just them handling that a lot more strict at the front end has kind of allowed us to find some normalcy on the back end.
What have you been doing out there, though? Like, have you been working? Have you been starting anything in particular? What's the reason for you being out there?
So I initially had come out here to run a basketball academy. It was a position that was offered to me through a gentleman named Manny, and he's the owner of the foundation or the academy that I work for. The connection was through my university coach, Chris Oliver. Just so happened that Chris Oliver was Manny's assistant coach when he was at McMaster.
Oh, wow.
So, so stuff like that kind of comes full circle. And he reached out to Oliver and asked for somebody that he felt would be able to fulfill those shoes to run an academy. And the job was presented to me and offered to me. We met in Toronto when Manny came to visit. And, I've been out here ever since.
How's that been going for you? It's been going good?
Yeah, it's been going well. First year out here was a little bit rough. I was on my own. And then the next year I was fortunate enough to have my girlfriend come out, and she's been with me out here ever since. So she's out here working as well. And then after that first year, I actually started playing professional in the UAE league out here for the last 2 years. Very, very low key.
I was about to say, I'm like, I haven't seen much information on that, but now that I know that, we'll get to that later on. I got to ask you though, what has the pandemic been like for you? What has the pandemic life been like for you? Whether it's been related family wise or even just friends wise, how has it been for you?
To be honest, the pandemic it's been tough. I think it's been tough for everybody. So, after that first month of getting over the fact that this is kind of the new norm, it was mainly rooted in some form of routine. Any routine that I could find or I could get into that would, give days meaning, give days purpose. A lot of, exploring old crafts and things that we hadn't done or, try new things. I know the pandemic kind of for the first 2 months, I didn't really know what to do. So I was like, everybody was doing their push-ups at home, finding pull-ups, home workouts, because that was part of our routine of, possibly going to the gym and different stuff like that. So still had to fill that void. But then, the issue is if you're inside for 20 hours or 24 hours, then, you're not, there's only so many push-ups you could do. So, the pandemic brought me back to reading more books. Some stuff I hadn't done since high school. Learned some new skills, and YouTube's a great teacher. Tried to figure out a few new apps that might help in the long run for planning and tasks and management and stuff like that, and even started kind of looking into cryptocurrency. It was, to be honest, it used it a lot of time to really learn and just look into things that we give excuses and say that we don't have time to look into these things. So the fact that we were granted all this time, it was about that time to get into all that stuff.
That's a fact.
Fair enough. And obviously for you were able to, like you said, you were able to figure out new things, and you were able to start reading again. You were able to, get into, I think you said cryptocurrency, so you were able to find the time you had. But what do you think has been the biggest struggle for people, whether it's kids or adults during this pandemic?
Man, the toughest part is not to dwell in the situation that we're in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like at the end of the day, I could feel sorry for myself because of all the things that I can't do. It is just about being grateful for all the things that you can. And if you're not using that time, you're gonna feel like it's wasted, right? You're gonna feel down. You're gonna think about all the things that you could be doing. If you're finding ways to fill that void and trying new things, which sparks your creativity and your learning, then you feel like that time you spent has been worthwhile. So I really do believe it's about trying to find purpose within the time that you have, and making the most of it the best way you can under the circumstances that you're in.
I know you actually answered our next question, but I want to ask you for a personal question though for yourself. No, it's fine. But I want to ask you for your personal self though. If you were a kid, going through a pandemic, what is some type of advice that you'd want an adult to give you, whether it's a pro basketball player or just somebody like Jim now, for instance, right? What is somebody that you'd want to give you for advice, or what's some advice you'd want to get being a kid going through a pandemic?
And to be honest, it's anything. There's some great advice you could give, but the problem is anything you say it could come off as cliche. Like we've never gone through anything like this in our life, right? So the one thing I would say is man, take care of them books. Like school has always mattered, and it definitely matters more than ever before, because that's the one thing throughout the pandemic that hasn't really slowed down or stopped. It's deviated, it's become virtual, right? So at the end of the day, that thing is linear. School matters. Take care of your school first. When everything opens back up, if you take care of your school and you're still able to stay in shape, then your opportunity will still present itself.
Fair enough.
Obviously, the other part of that is do your best just to stay in shape, man, and keep active, keep busy the best way you can. Because if you sit all the time and you're static and you're not doing much, you're just not happy. You got to get the endorphins going. You got to get the heart rate up. So I would definitely say school, be active, and try new things.
Enough about this pandemic talk is making me depressed, but I want to talk about your personal game a little bit though. Your definition of a true point guard. Every time I watch you play, you come with some fancy passes, kind of a little bit like a Magic Johnson a little bit. You notice the way you pass the ball and facilitate. What is some preparation that you have for yourself that gets your teammates in better positions? Because you being a point guard, you always got to figure out where your teammates like the ball the most. Whether it's, Enrico, or whether it's Devontae, or whether it's, whoever it might be that you're playing with for an alley-oop or whatever in the corner three or slasher or stuff like that. What do you do for preparation to understand your teammates at a better level?
I think it just depends on the level of basketball. Like at Windsor, obviously, it's a little bit different. We get to look at film. People, obviously, later on at Windsor, synergy was big, so we could actually see stats and all that stuff. But a big thing of that for me is just feel. I think every game has a flow, a tempo. Each team likes to play at a certain pace. Each player has a unique style. And obviously there's overlap. But, guys kind of gravitate to the spots they like. And guys hit shots that they like to shoot. And if you can give them the ball early enough or in that moment for them to be the most successful, then you've done your job as a point guard. And I think the biggest role that you have as a point guard is just managing the game to an extent, playing at the pace your team wants, getting the ball where your team likes to get the ball to. But I think a lot of it is just knowing your teammates, watching your teammates, understanding their own tendencies. And if you're fortunate enough to be able to, then watching film helps, do a scouting report on your teammate. It's the best way to do it.
I'm glad you brought up film, because I'm curious to know, when you look at film, what do you look for in particular? What are the key components that you have or that you're looking at that you're saying, okay, now I know my teammate on this level. I know where he wants the ball. In last three games, I see him slashing backdoor. I can find him on the left side of the rim for easy up and under, whatever case might be. What do you particularly look for when you're watching film?
So much like everybody else, man, I watch my mistakes first. I don't know if that's just me, but I 100% watch my mistakes first. If you could limit those mistakes and turnovers, and it could even just be like not necessarily a mistake that resulted in a turnover, but even like I passed it here, but was that the right pass to make based on what the defense gives you? So I just like to look at my highlights first, decipher that. As far as knowing like where guys are cutting or where guys are going, a lot of that is rooted in whatever the coach decides to do with the offense. And that's going to be a team philosophy. So at that point, it's more so enforcing the philosophy or, reinforcing the philosophy that's been put in place. And then just knowing that and that we're all going to swear by this philosophy. Like this is just going to be a team rule. So a little bit of that is just knowing where everybody's going to be. It's not so much me having to find guys. It's almost like the assumption that I could just throw the pass and he's going to be there. Like that was Windsor. I remember like if you drove from the top down the right side or down the left side, if somebody wasn't in the corner and another guy on the 45 to the point where you could throw a blind pass, it was the other guy's fault, right? Like those were the spots on the floor that we needed to fill no matter what. So if you have to be there, whether I throw it blind or not, all I got to do is look now, right? And now that's going to be a good pass. So now if somebody's cutting, that's either, they made a read in the defense, and that more so would be like personnel based. Like I imagine that I'm not going to see the short shooter cutting back door. I'm going to see somebody who probably wants to get a dunk. And that's knowing my teammate, he want to tear the rim off versus he want to shoot the spot up three. So you probably see that as you're driving. But I would definitely say it's more rooted in the team philosophy.
Hey, Devontae, he's 2 for 2 so far, man. He's 2 for 2 with these answers. I ain't gonna lie, Josh. You're coming clutch today with these answers, man.
MLA sided 5-paragraph double space type answers right now. I like it. I like it,
man. I love it.
Let's get the momentum going still.
Hey, Josh, I gotta ask you though. There's different type of point guards in this world when they're playing. You have the Chris Pauls who likes the pick and rolls. He does very well in the pick and roll. Then you have the Russell Westbrooks who gets out and runs. What kind of point guard would you say that you are? Are you more of a slow it down kind of guy? Do you like the pick and roll? Do you like to get on the run? Where do you put yourself?
Oh, I'm definitely like a pick and roll point guard. Like I'd say there's a million guys faster than me. But at the end of the day, I feel like pick and roll is guaranteed to give you an advantage. And I feel that my skill set is best rooted in making the decision based off of what the defense gives me. So coming off the pick and roll, making the read to make the right decision is much more up my alley than I'd say some of the other guys who are faster, more explosive, and quicker to the rim. Fair
enough. Obviously, when I watch you play, you kind of remind me a little bit of Chris Paul, and I'm not going to lie to you. You definitely remind me a little bit of Chris Paul. The way you kind of see the floor, your passing ability, how you make your teammates better. Every time I watch you play, I actually lock in to watch you play because I think like I said, you're a very smart basketball player. You understand the game very well. But I want to talk to you a little bit about Chris Paul for a second. I want to ask you your opinion on Chris Paul, because he's been getting slandered since he was on the Clippers. When he was on the Rockets, he can't win. He can't win. He can't win. He can't win. He goes to OKC last year. They had no business making the playoffs. They get the 5 seed. Then this year on Phoenix, we kind of saw the evolution of the bubble when they went 8-0 in the bubble. But now they're in the 2nd seed in the Western Conference and a very stacked Western Conference team. What are your thoughts on Chris Paul and with everything he's doing right now?
Okay, so I'm like half and half on this one.
Okay.
So the issue that I had, what I would say is early on, Chris Paul was a different player than he is now.
Yeah.
At this point in Chris Paul's career, he's very content with other people doing what they're doing, right? Like the way that he played with Shea in OKC, the way that he plays with Devin Booker and in Phoenix. He's arguably not the best player on his team, right? But he still would be considered arguably the most important. And I think earlier on in his career, he was trying to be both of those things, the best player on his team as well as the most important. And for his style of play, I don't think that was best for the recipe for success.
Okay.
Right? Like if you think about some of those games, I know that the Clippers didn't always win when he was out, but there was a lot of games where he was out and they just literally ran pick and rolls where they dumped it to Blake Griffin. And all of a sudden Blake Griffin's getting triple doubles because he's drawing so much attention. Right? I found that like Chris Paul does get into those moments where he was over dribbling because he can. He was such a good talent because he can over dribble, because he can now create a second opportunity. Some of those slashers that he had on the wing became spot up shooters. So they weren't as effective for what he needed for success. Do you know what I mean? He needed guys that are literally just, you stand like similar to what like LeBron goes after, right? You need that guy that's going to stand in the corner. He's not going to do too much. If I pass it to you, you're going to shoot the 3 or you're going to go make your play. But you're not going to do too much because you're not going to get too many touches.
Right.
And I found that was the toughest part in the Clippers because a lot of the players that they had on this team like to score in like specific spots, some of them, and then the other guys needed to catch it in more flow, like more up and down. Like Wes Johnson. Wes Johnson does not want to stand in the corner and shoot 3s the whole game. He needs to be up and down in transition, right?
Yeah.
Whereas JJ needs a little pin down and he's going to hit everything. Blake want to get up and down. DeAndre want to get up and down. So it's like, if these guys aren't able to catch it in a little bit of space and make the play, and you're always waiting for Chris Paul to make the assist, it's tough, right? His usage goes through the roof and other guys aren't getting touches. Whereas now he comes, he facilitates the offense, he orchestrates it. But once he gives it up, he's like spacing, he's spotting up. When he gets it back, he's just attacking. It's a little bit more simplified. It's a little bit more 90-ish type basketball that they're playing, where he's no longer the best player. He is the most important player.
I actually want to ask you one question. Sorry about that. I want to ask you one question. So speaking of important players for a second, I know we kind of touched up on this a little bit before we started recording, but the Raptors championship team. I just ask people about this because I want to know where people's mindset is with this. Devontae, stop those faces, bro. Stop it. But,
Go ahead.
but we all know that Kawhi Leonard was the best player on the Raptors. Is Kyle Lowry the most important player on that team?
The problem is, man, it's tough. It's tough. So I get where you're coming from because he is the second punch. He is the second punch. But the issue is he wasn't. Kawhi is still the most important player, and he was the best player. Okay. And it literally just comes down to, like, we think about a lot of those tough moments. It was give Kawhi the ball, get out of the way. Mm-hmm. And in a lot of those games, it was Kawhi's getting double teamed, kick it out, other guys are flourishing. So everybody really did take on a complementary role. Kyle Lowry is the biggest compliment to Kawhi, whereas, Siakam was that third option, right? There was that little bit of like a pecking order as far as importance. But, man, like, you take Kawhi off that team, where do the other 30 points come from in that run? Where do they come from when we go down 2-0 to the Bucks? True. And the problem is with that Raptors team, though, too, it's like they were just – everybody was important. You take Marc Gasol off that team, it's no longer the same, right? Because as much as Kawhi was guarding Giannis up front, Ibaka and Gasol were the rotation guys. So he wasn't getting dunks. He was getting tough contested twos. So everybody has their role of importance. But I just think Kawhi was very dominant in everything that he did, offensively and defensively, that he was the best and most important player on that team.
The only reason why I was asking about Lowry because A, you're a point guard, right? And B, because if you're talking about all the help side and rotation guys, Kyle Lowry took a shit ton of charges, and he also got a lot of steals as well on the help side, right? So I was thinking, I'm like, honestly, if you take Kyle Lowry off that team, he's the glue guy. Obviously, Kawhi Leonard's the leader. You're right, best player on the team, 100%. But the leader is just, in my opinion, was Kyle Lowry to just kind of bring everybody together and be that glue guy. For
sure. Like, Kyle Lowry is 100% the glue guy. He's the guy that was able to sustain the culture that they had as a Raptor. So Kawhi's coming in and fitting into the culture that's already set because Lowry's been there for so long. So as far as that level of importance, for sure. But as far as like impact on the floor, Kawhi was still, as much as he's not emotional, man, he's still an emotional leader because he's always the one hitting hits. He's getting tough stops. You know, like you think about like Lowry did make the pitch back, but Kawhi's dunk, like that changes. Those are momentum changers, right? Yeah. And like, don't get me wrong, man, Lowry is that pit bull. He is that emotional leader for the Raptors. But I just feel like because Kawhi was expected to perform in those big moments down the stretch in tough situations, it's tough not to say him.
Fair enough. 3 for 3, Devontae. 3 for 3.
That's 3 for 3. You're damn right. That's 3 for 3. Real quick, Josh. Before we transition here, I just want to know, off the top of your head, 10 seconds max. In today's era, where's CP3 in your NBA's point guards right now?
Best point guards in the league right now?
Yeah, top of your head. 10 seconds.
I'd say Steph, Dame Lillard, Kyrie, and then probably, arguably, CP3's up there. Just off of.
So 4-5 range.
Yeah, 4-5 range. Obviously, like that's not really including like guys like Luka or Harden or LeBron as like point guards either. I'm
technical,
like, true point guards.
Okay. So, Josh, of course, you know this being a Toben series and you leading Toben basketball in all-time assists. Can you talk to us about what got you playing for what playing for Toben means to you?
Oh, man, Toben. To be honest, Toben gave me an opportunity to play with them after playing against them in the league, and luckily, guys like Jamil and Felix, obviously guys that I've known for a while, asked me to come play with them over at Mega City, and and ever since then, it's been like a brotherly bond of guys coming in and, a little bit of a similar situation where anybody else coming in they just gotta fit in. So it is that, family cohesive type feel. It's always a good time. It's always fun to play with those guys. And it's been like that, I think, ever since, probably like that before I got there, but I know it's been like that since I got there for sure.
Everybody's had an interesting story so far, or some type of background. How did you meet Coach Tony?
So I met Coach Tony. I had gotten cut from Windsor Express. Okay. And I was in that weird bubble of like trying to find a new team in January to play with overseas or even in the NBL. I got a few bites, but no real takers. That was really, truly worthwhile. So I was kind of at home. I was working, I was grinding. I started training some more kids, picking up, the slack, gotta make some money.
Yep.
And then I had also taken a trip at one point just to kind of clear my head with some family friends. And it was basketball related. It was, I went to the Philippines, and when I came home, I was a little bit out of shape. So one of my friends asked me to play in a league with him. It was the Dynasty League, and it was in Scarborough. So I played with them, played with the Sharks, and it was against Tony's team, one of the Toben teams. And we had played them one time. We had beaten them in the round robin. And after they had lost their semifinal game, they watched a little bit of our next game, and we had won that one to play in the finals. They kind of had talked to me at that point, and I had known Jamil since we were in like the 6th grade. So he was the one that kind of reached out to me and asked if I would jump on Toben and play with them in the Mega City that was coming up. And luckily I had the Dynasty League to kind of get back into shape.
Here. Okay. All right. Now, who were some of your favorite teammates that you played with during Toben? I know you played with a lot.
Tough, man. That's tough. Some of my favorite teammates. I don't know, man. That's a tough one because I gotta, like, everybody arguably is one of my favorites for different reasons. You know what I mean? Like Felix is one of my good teammates just because he was there from the start. Jamil there from the start, and obviously, you know, we go way back. You know, we had some good moments with guys like Negus when he came to Halifax. You know, obviously winning that tournament a bunch of times. I feel like some of my best highlights were to Shane Osuende.
Yep.
So throw him a bunch of lobs, you know, makes me look good. So got to play with Din, a guy that I went to school with.
Yep.
There's a lot of teammates for a lot of different reasons. Curtis, Nabil, like the list goes on. Kadeem, I got to play with Kadeem again since high school. Hadn't played with him.
Yeah.
You know, Denny. It's a lot of guys, man. There's too many to count, really.
I'm surprised you didn't mention Sai, to be honest with you. I was waiting for that one. The dynamic duo.
To be honest, I didn't actually get to play a lot with Sai. Like, Sai was always on the team. He was always on the team when, like, I wasn't around. I'd leave, all of a sudden, Sai comes out the woodworks. Like, for a little stretch there, Sai was also hurt. He was coming back. And then, like, that next little stretch where I was there, he was playing at Humber. So he wasn't really playing a lot with Toben. And then when I was, like, incognito, Sai's back. So we only really played about a half a season. And I love Sai to death, man. But the problem is every time I talk to Sai now, I don't think about Toben and basketball. I think about, like, coaching. You know, me and him have different conversations. It's the same thing with Chad. Like, I can mention Chad as well.
Yeah.
But, like, our conversations now are more so about, like, coaching. We talk, like, a little bit of X's and O's and stuff like that. So those guys, I literally left them off the list, and they deserve to be there too. But I got them in a different mind frame now.
That's fair. That's fair.
I'm gonna continue here with the quick hitters. Best Toben moment.
Best Toben moment, winning the first Halifax tournament.
Okay. Most memorable, funny moment. Don't have to give us too much. Could be a bland.
We played in a Foot Locker. We played in a tournament at Hoop Dome where the winner got some Foot Locker gift cards, and it was Curtis's birthday.
Okay. So, you know, so many great players, you know, you went to Vaughn with, you know, including yourself. What are your thoughts on how the school evolved and declined basketball-wise after you left? Because there was a little shape shift there.
I think after I left, they were still on the rise. They were still coming up. Like, I know that when I was in my 5th year, like guys like Sai, Rashane, Adian, Din were all like going to grade 10. And, you know, I had asked those guys to play senior with me when I was in my 5th year because obviously I knew that they could help at that time. You know, they believed otherwise, and again, that's their choice. They obviously made the most of their situations because all of them went on to have good careers.
Yeah.
And after I left, it was them. It was their show, you know. Obviously, there were some other guys in between there, like James Troy, CJ, and a few others that, you know, held it down for a little bit. And then they went on to win OFSA. So you can't say it was me, man. They went on to win OFSA without me, back to back.
You're a good guy, man. You give credit where credit's due. I like that. That's going to come back to you. Now, knowing that Vaughn became prep, your generation had a lot to do with that. Would you have liked to play prep while attending Vaughn?
Man, of course. Prep just gives a different opportunity. You get a little bit better exposure. You get to play better competition. So, you know, that first year you might have taken some lumps, but after that, it changes the scope of things and how you prepare, and even maybe some of the guys that come there. And I feel like it too was just a different time. You know what I mean? Like, there wasn't prep. So guys just went to better schools that were in the top 10 in like the GTA. Like you could easily say West Hill was a prep school, Eastern was a prep school. Like it's just they were the powerhouses of Pickering. Like all these guys are just going to like certain schools. Arguably, it's prep. We just didn't call it prep. You know, I think the one thing that we missed out on was playing the prep schedule. I think that number of games and playing high level competition, even from the States at that time, would get, I think, a lot of guys different exposure.
For sure.
And maybe end up somewhere else.
Now, Josh, I'm going to switch it up here a little bit. I heard through the grapevine, we were told to ask you about grade 9 initiation. With sign, guys like that you mentioned before. Did you bully those guys? Elaborate if yes. You know, what did they do to deserve that? You know, I had the same thing in high school when I was at Culver. You know, the grade 9s got what they deserve. Could you elaborate on that a little bit, if will?
Nope. There's
no
bullying.
All right. Safe to say, that's what I thought was coming.
There's no bullying in school, man. The one thing that did happen is they were talking a lot, and we did have a one-on-one game in the small gym, and it was like one at a time. Granted, it was unfair because of their age. Like they were going into grade 10, and I was going into my 5th year. That, like, they didn't really stand a chance. That was probably that one moment.
And when the young guys talk up, sometimes you got to put them in their place. I know me, Stephen, and Sai have some kids to put in our place later on this week or the week after. Now I'm going to get off your back a little bit. This is kind of a two-parter. After this, I'm going to get off your back a little bit. You know, where do you put yourself in Vaughn's point guard category? And in your opinion, who's the best Vaughn team?
Who's the best Vaughn team?
Two-parter. Where do you put yourself in Vaughn's point guard category? And then who's the best team? Who's the best Vaughn team in your opinion ever?
Okay, so the best Vaughn point guard. Tough one, man, because again,
very tough one.
It's the film. It's what are you measuring? All those things. So I'll go with the best. The best Vaughn team, I think, is that team that had like Andrew on it, with like guys like Techie, Sai, like that team, Henry. That team was stacked. Like that team was solid across the board, and obviously they got it done. You know, they were OFSA champs. So I think that speaks for itself. And where do I stand as Vaughn point guard? I don't know, man. I don't know. There's so many that come before me, and there's a bunch that came after.
You got to give me a number. You got to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You don't have to put the who's before you. Give me a number. Give me one number. I'm off your back after this. I need a number.
Okay, so as far as like what guys did at Vaughn, point guard wise, I don't see anybody that came after me. I wouldn't slot them ahead of me.
Now, that's fair to say.
The issue is I didn't get to see a lot of the old heads, but the old heads laid the foundation. You know what I mean? And there are some guys there that it would hurt to put them above or put me above them. But I'd definitely say I'm top 3, like hands down, like no arguments.
Okay.
We'll lock in with 3. We'll lock in with 3.
I would actually like to see all the point guards go at it one day. You know, Andrew Nemhart, Josh. You know, you have Nikhil, you have Sai, you have. You know, obviously the older heads, not really, but like the guys that are in your age generation, you know, Dinjo's more of a 2-guard to me, so whatever. But like those guys,
the problem with that is a lot of those guys left though, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they didn't have that solidified career over there.
Like, don't get me wrong, with Nemhard and Nikhil will be up there for sure. Like their level, their trajectory, where they were headed for sure, right? And like Nemhard was doing what he was doing in grade 10.
Yeah.
But then he left, right? But at the same time, what he was doing in grade 10, if we keep that scale up, I would definitely slot him ahead of him. But as far as like what was actually done in the Vaughn gym, that's tough. That's tough.
Fair enough. That's fair.
That's like the discussion they're having right now with LeBron James and putting him on the Lakers Mount Everest. He's only been there for a couple of years, right? You can't even give him the benefit of the doubt right now just because he's only been there. Now, if he wins another championship, if he continues to stay there, we'll have that discussion. But you can't even slot him in there yet because he just got there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Hey, Josh, I want to ask you though. You know, obviously after Vaughn, you head over to Windsor. What intrigued you about Windsor?
Man, Windsor. It's interesting too because Windsor was like one of my last visits.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
That I went on, and to be honest, it was a lot of the culture of the guys there. Just we hit it off, got along really well. They have a winning culture, very competitive atmosphere, like always. And Chris Oliver is a great coach, and it was just one of those things where I was given an opportunity to compete for minutes kind of right away, and that was literally it. Like nothing was guaranteed to me, nothing at all. It was just like we got to compete all the time. We hung out after practice and stuff, and it was easy. That part was easy. Like we clicked on the court, and then we're able to hang out off the court. That's that's ideal for any situation. And to get the opportunity to compete for minutes in my first year was something that intrigued me.
I want to ask you about that because you just mentioned going somewhere that gives you an opportunity to give you minutes, playing time, be you. In your first year that you were there, you were named to the OUA All-Rookie. I think you're All-Rookie team. And then in 2011, 2012, you were also named to the OUA West All-Star second team. How important is it to you to make a name for yourself while attending a university?
Man, it's important, but like I won't lie, like I wasn't considering all of those things when they were happening. Like when I made the All-Rookie team, I appreciated that my work was acknowledged, my hard work was acknowledged, but like stuff like that doesn't come if you don't win.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think I was the rookie team thing came because I was like top 5 in assists or something like that. And I can't take credit for that. That's my teammates making shots. So as much as I am putting the ball and giving them the ball to shoot, I got 4 guys that love to score the ball around me. My job's easy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I get to dribble around all over the place. 19-year-old rookie that's scared to shoot, and everybody making me look good because I like to pass.
Mm-hmm.
So, time and place, good situation, right time. But I think it was more in line with I really wanted to play for the cadet team. And that was more of my goal, where it was like, I want to play, I want to compete against all these guys. There was a lot of older point guards when I first came in, like 5th-year guys, and they were going at me. So it was a matter of just learning how to swim in the deep end, getting thrown in the fire, and, coming out on the other side. So I can't say that it was all glorious. Like it was a tough year. But I think our team was just really good, and our style of play was beneficial for me in that sense, and it allowed me to thrive.
I'm not gonna lie to you, Josh, man. I love your character, man. You sound like a real point guard. You know what I'm saying? You sound like a real point guard, to be honest with you, and somebody that people would love to play with. And honestly, like just hearing you talk, bro, it's like, whoa, like that's why I'm smiling sometimes. I'm like, damn, I should have went to Vaughn, bro. But anyway, it's a whole nother story. It's a whole nother story. But if I'm not mistaken, you were top 10 all time in Lantra school history for assists. That accomplishment in itself, obviously, is something to be proud of. Can you speak to us about what that means to you?
You say top 10?
Top 10.
Number 1.
There you go.
Put some respect. Put some respect. We gotta get a buzzer or something, man.
You know what? Let me re-ask the question. No, I'm saying. My apologies, legend. I'm sorry, legend. My apologies.
Man, it's all good.
But yeah, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Nah, man, it was cool, man. It was just, to be honest, it was an honor to pass Ryan Steer, the guy that was a Windsor legend before anybody could be called a Windsor legend.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in the generation before me. Obviously, there's the older guys, and I could go down the list, man. We got a great alumni base that's still involved in Windsor basketball.
Right.
And, there's some legends that are walking around that people don't know what they were doing when they were playing. But, I was fortunate enough to pass Ryan Steer for that one. And it was cool just because he was one of our assistant coaches when I was first there. And I remember when I came for a visit, he torched me, bro. He torched me. He was going to play pro in Germany, and it was my first year at Windsor. He felt no ways. Came down, hit me with a mean cross. I didn't know where he went. And for it to come full circle, where he was he was the one giving me guidance, giving me tips, and my assistant coach was the guy that I could always talk to. And to fast forward at the end of my career, being able to pass him an assist in steals, it was cool.
Wow.
Well, shout out to you for being number one in the all-time Lancers assist total. But I gotta ask you though, this might hit the heart a little bit for you, because I know about your friendship a little bit with Enrico. But talk to us about it.
Man, that's my guy, man. That's very, very similar, which made for some interesting times and some great times. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we butt heads a lot when we're playing, just because both very passionate dudes that don't take kindly to losing. But it's easy. Like, we lived on residence together. I lived with him for 4 of my 5 years. Mm-hmm. Like, we were roommates, and that's my brother. So it's easy, man. We just had a lot of moments where we couldn't talk to each other for the first hour after runs. It's a long walk home for the guy that lost.
You're gonna hear about that.
Yeah, oh, bro, I tell that story all the time to kids too, man. It's like when kids like to come and they just like to let their friends score and stuff. And it was like, nah, man, if we're playing, we're playing. And it's like, I live with this guy every day. Like, we got to go to the same fridge. We got to go to the same stove. We got to use the same bathroom. Like, nah, I'm not letting him win. Like, it's not even like we used to talking smack to each other, but it was literally just like, if I lost, I'm mad. Like, mm-hmm. I'm mad. And after like our second or third year, we were always matched up against each other. So it's like, if I win, that means he lost. And if he won, that means I lost. Mm-hmm. It takes about an hour for us to like cool down and like actually want to talk to each other. Because in our head, we both like, man, don't talk to me, bro. Like,
well, that's a competitive spirit in you. You know what I mean? Definitely. So, it's always.
Back to my point. Sorry to cut you off, man. But back to my point, it was like, I tell these kids all the time, it's like, man, you're doing your friends no justice if you let them score, right? Like, your friends are supposed to be the ones that are pushing you for greatness. Like, if I didn't have Enrico there to go at all the time, and I imagine that he feels the same way, at least I hope he does, it's like we wouldn't be the same players that we were at the end. You know what I mean? Like, this was a guy that I was going at every practice, especially like later on. Obviously, there was a lot of other guys there, but when it came down to runs in like the summertime where we were there all year grinding, it was me against him, like, every day. And like, man, I'm so appreciative of that.
And that's what LeBron James said, even with Dwayne Wade too. He said that without Dwayne Wade, he wouldn't be where he was today, or where he is today, where he was in Miami, Cleveland. That was like the brotherhood that they had over there, and the two of them were legitimately like brothers, and still are till this day. So I guess you had your little LeBron D Wade moment. We could say that. We could say that. But I do got to ask you though. You've been very fortunate to have a lot of great coaches in your corner. Starting off with your dad, then Jimna. Then obviously Chris Oliver, who you mentioned earlier. I want you to walk us through the mind of Coach Oliver, whether it's practices, game prep, team development, etc. Talk to us about Coach Oliver.
Man, you gotta. That's a tough one, man. Being there for so long, you got to break those down into like individual categories.
Fair. Fair.
But man, Chris Oliver is as intense as they come, mm-hmm. And I think one of the things that he expects in return from you is you have to match his intensity. I think that's the number one thing. Got to match the intensity. Like, he can't be more intense than you. His big thing is he can't be more excited to practice than you are. And he loves practice. If you ask him, he tells you he loves practice more than the games. And he does, man. He does. He really loves the X's and O's. Man, brilliant mind when it comes to dealing with the X's and O's, coming up with plays, like end of game stuff. Like, I know for a fact, like, I wrote down a lot of them. Obviously, like, I remember most of them, but the ones that I'm like a little bit faint on, I go, I'll write them down, man. And even to this day, I still listen to his basketball immersion stuff. He got his own podcast, and I'm a member of his site, and it's all great stuff, man. But he's an intense, passionate person that hates losing. So you got to match the intensity, because essentially that's what's going to push you through to winning those games in the tough moments. And that's all it's all about, man. He loves to push you, loves to challenge you. Certain practices, it could be your day. You know, like today, Devontae, he gonna see what you made of. He gonna see what you made of. You're not gonna do nothing right today. And you know, it's nothing more than to see you come out on the other side better than when you came to practice. So if you know that, you were okay. If you didn't understand that, it was a long practice or a really short one because you ended up getting kicked out. And it's just the level of intensity that he brings to practice. So
I love that you brought that up just now, because even for me, when I'm coaching, I tell my kids all the time, I say, how do you guys expect to play games if you guys aren't practicing the same way? And I'm literally in practices yelling, you know, sweating. I'm like, how the hell am I sweating more than some of you guys? I understand, obviously, some kids don't sweat, and that's understandable. But how am I sweating as a coach more than you guys? It makes no sense to me, right? So when I tell them all the time, I say, I can't want this more than you guys. If you guys don't want it, then shit, stop playing basketball. If you guys don't really want it as much as I want it for you guys. And that's the one thing I'm kind of glad you touched up on as well. You know, even just to talk about that, like just player coaches at the next level that aren't even playing or aren't coaching AU basketball, they're coaching university level, and they, you know, they push you the same way. So just be able to hear that is refreshing and good to hear.
But man, also too is like people got to understand, like AU basketball, those people are very passionate. Like they're doing it most times in their free time. Right. So if they're doing this for their free time, that's almost more valuable than getting paid. Yeah. Right. Like they could be doing something else to earn more money, but instead they're giving you their passion in the sport that you both are sharing. Now you go into a university coach, this is now their livelihood. I know like if they're a university coach, man, they're spending like 14 to 16 hours in the day thinking about basketball. Right. So if you're one of their players, you could be on their mind. You know, they could be thinking that you're maybe the missing piece. How do we get more out of this guy? All those things. And like people really need to understand that, man. Like a lot of these coaches that are doing like OBA, AAU, whatever it is, like not getting paid. So it's like if you're not going to match somebody's passion and they're not getting anything out of it other than sharing this experience, man, that you're not doing them a service, right? And the whole no sweating thing, I swear that's a lie, bro. If you're not sweating, you could arguably go harder. You know what I mean? If you're not sweating, you could arguably go harder.
Yeah.
How is it that like the NBA athletes, Olympic athletes are the best athletes in the world, and I see every single one of them sweating? They reach the peak, man. If you're not sweating, bro, you can go harder. That's my belief, anyways.
Hey, man. Devontae, he's 5 for 5, bro. I'm giving him 2 points for that one. You 5 for 5. I'll give you 2 points for that one. That's round of applause, man. Round of applause.
Stop now. Keep my percentage. I should just stop now. My percentage.
You're at 100%. You're at 100%. But back to Coach Oliver for a second, though. He's a pretty decorated coach, and you've been a part of a few of the championships that he's brought to the school. Talk about winning at the collegiate level.
Man, we were fortunate enough to win the West. We never actually won any OUA awards, unfortunately. Came close a few times, fell short a bunch. But man, winning at that level is attention to detail, attention to detail, attention to detail. It's one thing to say everybody works hard, man. So like, it's what are you going to do that's going to separate you from the pack? And obviously, it's talking about the group as a whole, because it's a team sport, and each person doing their individual part. But like the teams that scout, the teams that are able to come up with different wrinkles or do things better, take things away, take the things that you want to do away, are going to be the better team. I think Carleton, man, keeps finding success because they watch film crazy. Their practices are very intense, and you know, they do their homework, and they like to force people different directions based on what they like to do. Yeah. That takes a lot of scout, a lot of preparation, and you know, testament to them. For us, we did a lot of the things that were similar in that regard, and you know, just some unlucky moments. I remember in like my second year, we lose to Laurier at home, and the last 3 buckets they scored, were 3 bank threes in a row at the end of every shot clock.
Man.
And it's like, what do you do at that point, man? Like it's a 1 possession game. So they come down, hit a bank three, we match it. They hit a bank three, we get a 2. They hit another bank three, now they're up 4. We miss a shot. That's a tough thing to come back from in the crunch.
Mm-hmm.
But like stuff like that, man, that's just unlucky.
Yeah. Huh. And you don't prepare for bank shots. Like, I don't know, you don't prepare for a game. Say someone's gonna come down and hit 3 bank threes in a row. Like you're not gonna prepare for that.
Nah, and it was just one of those things, man. We played great defense, and a guy hits a shot. It just so happened that it happened 3 times in a row, and it literally was bank shot, bank shot, bank shot. Can't write this stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I gotta ask you though, is there anything that you changed about your university career?
That's a tough one, man. I loved the experience that I had. I love everything that I was able to do at Windsor. So I definitely say no. The people that I met along the way, the relationships that I made, couldn't change it for the world.
Fair enough.
Now, Josh, I love to hear people's perspective of this because throughout our seasons, we've heard a lot of different spectrums, right? So, you played for 1 season in the NBL for the Windsor Express, Was it what you expected?
Yes and no. I feel like there were some things that did surprise me. I feel like there were some other things that didn't. I feel like it's 100%. It's another level, right? It's another step up. It was faster. The NBL was, I think, better than what people gave it credit for. A lot of talent. But I also feel like it was more so a lot of growth that I had to do individually, just coming from the collegiate level. And I also think for me, it was a little bit tougher too, because coming out of university, it didn't really have a lot of people to talk to about how to navigate that space. So kind of learning on the fly of talking to agents, getting film ready, preparing all of that stuff was completely foreign to me, and didn't really feel like I had a lot of people to talk to about that and get maybe different perspectives. Once I was already in it, I got more answers, and then it was a little bit easier to understand. It was a little bit easier to navigate. And, but man, it was an experience, man. I appreciated it. Windsor obviously was home to me before that. So for me to go back and play there, it was great. And, to win that year that I was on that team was great. But it was a lot like going back to your rookie year. You gotta earn your stripes a little bit, and you're scratching and clawing and fighting for everything that you can.
Yeah, I think that's such an interesting point too. That transition when you first get out of collegiate play, going to pro. We can see in the NBA now, guys are getting a little leash now. You got guys coming in like Shea, Luka, Trey, LaMelo now, and Anthony just excelling first couple of years in. So that leash now, or that transition, is becoming a lot more shorter. And the same thing goes for any level. Now with that being said, can you give the kids that watch our show some advice before going into a pro situation?
To be honest, man, I feel like it's like any jump. I feel like it's any jump no matter where you are in age, right? Like going from middle school to high school, that's a jump. Going from junior basketball to senior basketball, that's another jump. Going from senior to collegiate to the pros, it's just a level of, it's just preparation, right? I got to make sure that I'm still doing the work. I got to make sure that I'm preparing for the next level. Now, if you're excelling at the level before, there's a better chance of you excelling at the next level a lot of times because people are just going to give you a better opportunity. So now it's a matter of being prepared for whether it's all great from the start and just being prepared for the roadblock when it comes. Because there will be a dip. There will be a time where stuff doesn't go right. And, being able to overcome that situation will be more of an indicator of how you're going to do at the next level. So if I say collegiate to pro, it's the same thing, man. Like collegiately, you gotta play against pros. You gotta find those runs, right? You gotta be able to play at that speed and then be effective at that speed. And the biggest thing is you gotta have the confidence to just go out and do what you do and be very comfortable in what your identity is as a basketball player. Because when you get to the pro level, coaches don't necessarily care too much, right? If they like you, they'll obviously rock with you a little bit. But the minute that you're not doing what is necessary, right, it's not like college. They're just going to get rid of you.
Yeah.
And I think that's the toughest part, right? That gets into people's heads a little bit sometimes. And also, too, is not really having that person back you, right? You could have a coach that's playing for you. What happens if the coach wasn't the one that even got you? The general manager got you. The coach doesn't even like you, but he has to play you. He has to do this. And so it's finding those weird situations, those tough situations, and still finding a way to persevere and come out on top.
Hey, Steven, he's 6 for 6.
He's 6 for 6.
He's 6 for 6. We're going to have to get a button here, Steven. We are going to have to get some type of button on this device or something for answers like this.
To be honest with you, Devontae, I think we're going to have to figure out a way to do like one of those columns or whatever on the Instagram page where we have like percentages. Because honestly, between him, Kimball, and Jake, they're coming with some different answers, man.
They're coming with some different answers. Now, Josh, I'm going to give you some quick hitters again. Would you rather be a singer or a rapper?
Singer.
If you could sit down and have a conversation with anyone dead or alive, who would it be? Conversation.
A conversation?
Yeah.
Dead or alive, man. I don't know. You didn't.
There's a lot of.
I probably talked to MJ.
Okay. Which one?
I don't know why, but I thought you were gonna choose Nipsey. I don't know why.
Nipsey? Nipsey would be a good one too, though, for sure.
Which one though? We talking about Jackson?
No, I'm talking about Jordan, bro.
Okay, that's why I had to ask.
I definitely don't want to talk to MJ. Obviously, talk basketball.
Okay.
Brain on that side, and then obviously, what he's done in business is worth
ridiculous,
too, right? Like,
okay.
Obviously, to be honest though, now thinking about this, I'd actually want to talk to Kobe more. Just from those two avenues, his transition into post basketball was special, man. Like, it was seamless. Like, he didn't miss a beat, and obviously, it being cut short is something that, like, I would love to hear what he had planned. You know what I mean? And I think that part of it is the big tragedy, right? Is like, it got cut short. There was so much more that we anticipated, even now, him doing. Like, if I think about it now.
Okay. And now I'm going to give you a chance here to elaborate or expand. If you had a dinner party and you had 5 empty seats, dead or alive, who would you bring to the party? Now I'm gonna give you a chance to expand.
Hey, bro, these questions are coming out of left field, bro.
Coming out of left field.
I need Dave Chappelle there. That's the funniest man alive. He's got me through some tough times, man. That guy is hilarious. I'll watch the Chappelle show front to back, and obviously he's very rooted into everything that's happening in the world. Even through his comedy, and if you see, like, just in him talking in talk shows and different stuff like that, he's very rooted. Love to talk with him. Kobe there for sure, so I can talk to him. They're alive, man. That's the problem is when you start getting, like, you start thinking way, way, way back.
You started exactly. You can't know them on. I don't want any family members for this one. No family.
Oh, you see, I was gonna put some family members there for sure. I'll throw Biggie in there because for a long time he was my favorite rapper.
Mm-hmm. Biggie over Tupac, okay.
Yeah,
me too.
And so what I got? 2 more. I don't know, man. Let me get shoot. This is tough, bro, because the problem is I want to talk to a whole bunch of different people for different reasons.
I don't know if I could ever narrow it down to 5.
Man, this is so tough. Bro, let me get I need somebody in there to like throw the party, no?
I think Dave would do a great job with that, but I know what you mean.
Shoot. Bro, you're stumping me with this one.
I'm stumping you right now. We got you in a 2-3 trapping zone at the top right now.
Oh my gosh. Nah, you guys are running the box in one.
Yep. You can't go anywhere.
Shout out Nick Nurse.
Bro, let me get like Nipsey over there because bro, that's another one that we're very rooted in his community. Love to talk about that. And
One
more. Man, I don't even know. Let me get Dame Lillard over there because he's my favorite point guard to watch.
Josh 7 for 7.
Hey, that would be a good party. You have Nipsey and Big E. Then you got D-Lil and Kobe. Then you have Dave Chappelle to just run the show and make all the jokes.
I don't even know, bro. This party sounds wild to me.
There's a lot of dynamics in the room right here. And again, that's in a perfect world. Speaking of a perfect world, Josh, we always like to conclude this show with a game called A Perfect World. I'm going to put you in another scenario, much easier, because why? This is a perfect world, and you're going to just fill in the blanks for me. Okay? Now, this one's actually going to be pretty interesting because right now you are 7 for 7. So I'd love to hear what you have to say to conclude the show. So you're in high school. You're a 5-star recruit in Canada. And you do everything that you need to do. You win the championship. You win OFSA. You win the championship. You're MVP. You're a 5-star recruit. Every school in the world's recruiting you. It's now time to make your decision at the end of your senior year. Can't be a school in Canada. Obviously can't be Windsor. Where are you going in this NCAA? And a little spiel and why.
Unless you want to throw Carlton in there too.
I'm going to Duke.
Why are you going to Duke? Why are you going to Duke?
He's 20 for 20. Fuck it. He's 20 for 20. Let's go.
Bro, I'm going to Duke for no other reason than it's my dad's my dad's favorite school, bro. He loves Coach K. I grew up a Duke fan because of him. Obviously, there's a bunch of other schools that I love now and appreciate because a lot of the kids and people that I know coming out of Toronto got a chance to play there. And, those ones turn into your favorites too. But I hands down going to Duke, and big reason obviously is because it's my pop's favorite school.
I know that's burning you inside right now, Devontae. I know it's burning you. I know it's burning you.
Duke is fine. It's the next part. Right? And maybe Steven will do for the next show. We won't do it on air. But so you go to Duke. You do what you have to do in the season. Double-digit scorer, first team All ACC. Right? You see where I'm heading with this. You don't get to pick where you want to go in the draft. But obviously during interviews, you could dictate, kind of verbally whether you like this organization or not. So you get to, kind of dictate that being a future lottery pick. Obviously, you are a lottery pick. Which destination are you picking? And again, why?
So, which team in the NBA?
Yeah.
Man, you're probably picking the Lake Show, bro.
You're picking the Lake Show. That's different. Why?
To be honest, it's just it's all things considered. If you can, man, that's the one organization that with Hollywood and everything that it does for people, it skyrockets people's perception in the public, their careers, their acting careers. Everybody that played for the Lakers, all of a sudden, that's a star is in a movie. So I think that's the one franchise in the NBA that you look at any era, it's the show, right? You could pick other ones too, but man, it's the show over there.
Show over there.
Yeah.
Okay. Now last segment, last part. You do your 4 years. You're done your rookie contract. You're a solidified player in the NBA. You do run the Lake Show here in this perfect world, right? Now, especially Lakers, you guys have enough money to bring in 2 notable players in the NBA. Here are the rules. You could pick a rookie or sophomore, first or second year, but then you could pick somebody that we're going to consider a vet in this case, done their 4 years, right? Who are those 2 people you are asking to join the Lake Show in today's NBA?
So this is a perfect world.
This is a perfect world.
I know. I think I know who his sophomore is going to be.
My sophomore?
A sophomore rookie. I think I know who a sophomore rookie will be.
So you're at the PG and you're picking 2 other players to come join you.
I think I'm picking Katie.
Okay, for your vet.
And sophomore.
Or rookie.
In the league or rookie. I'll probably take Zion. I'd probably take Zion. Just all things considered, right? Because like if it's me, then I'm more of a facilitating point guard. So like to have KD on the wing, he's not crazy ball dominant, and Zion not crazy ball dominant, but like both forces in their own right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and that would be ideal, I think.
So we got KD, Zion, and Josh in the lake show. Hey, that's going to be a pretty entertaining night in and night out. Now, Josh,
I'm getting season tickets.
You're getting season tickets. I might have to move over there to the lake show. You know, I'm more with the Clippers right now as you are with Steven, but that's okay. And you know, to conclude, Josh, who are some guys that you're watching in the NBA right now that you know what? I'm going to turn on the television today and I'm going to watch these guys.
Definitely watching Steph. This guy's nuts.
Nuts.
Obviously, like I was watching Steph because Andrew was on the team to start, but this guy's nuts. So I always watch the Warriors. I always watch Steph. I watch Dame because I love his pace, the way he plays, and I just like his game, his demeanor. Brooklyn is obviously a fun one to watch as well. And I always turn on the Pelicans too to watch Nikhil play.
Fair enough.
Shout out to Nikhil, man.
Shout out to Nikhil. That's actually what I thought you were gonna pick before Zion. To be honest with you, then I was like, you know what? I thought you were gonna pick Nikhil because I know you.
The thing is like I 100% like if you can always pick your dogs, you're gonna pick your dogs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thing, ideal world, all these things. But then I was still thinking when you asked me the 5 seat at the table, I can't pick family. So I was like, all right, let me pick somebody else.
Fair enough. Well, Josh, I want to ask you though. We asked all of our guests this question. Who is somebody that you would like to see on Talk Your Exposure? But here's the kicker, though. You got to help us get them on the show.
I got to help you get them on the show?
Mm-hmm.
Man, if you're doing the Toben, bro, you guys had Tony on yet?
We had Tony.
We had him on the fourth, right? Oh, you have him on tomorrow?
Tony's episode is dropping tomorrow. We had him in the BL on last week.
Okay. But you guys didn't even post none of that. How was I supposed to know?
No, that's fine.
Gotcha.
Oh,
what was Dave Chappelle say? Gotcha.
You guys already did a few other those. You guys do Chad yet?
Not yet. We have him locked in though, but we haven't done him yet though.
You know, you guys are taking all my picks.
Think outside Toben.
Outside Toben.
Because we actually have your boy Kadeem on Thursday.
Oh, okay, that's a good pick. You guys got Din?
We got Din as well next Tuesday.
Yeah,
we're giving them all away on this episode right now.
Bro, you guys should talk to Rico.
Say less. I vibe with that one. I fuck with that one. I think he'd be great. I know he's very detailed. And isn't he top 3 or whatever in Windsor history of scoring or something like that?
Nah, he's number 1 too, bro.
I said top 3. The top 3. There you go. So you know top 3? That's right.
So when we graduated, it was me, Leon, and Rico that went there together. We got there at the same time. Leon would be a good choice too, man. He's still playing in France. We got there at the same time, rookie year, graduated together. Leon graduated all-time rebounds. Rico graduated all-time points. I graduated all-time assists and steals. And then all 3 of us graduated for tied for the most wins in Windsor history.
That's what's up. Big up to you guys, man. Big up to you guys for real. Hey, Josh, man, we want to ask you, where can we find you on social media?
My social media, pretty much across the board, is Josh Collins, JSH Collins. So just no O in the Josh. Everything is there. It's open. Probably be starting another page real soon. Just where you can find more of the basketball training and stuff. I gotta open up something where I could put all of my little training clips that I've collected over the years. They need to make their way off of my laptop and onto social media. So
they definitely do. They definitely do, man. And honestly, Josh, one more time, we want to thank you for jumping on the show with us today, man. It is a privilege and an honor to have somebody as such a legend as you are. You know, someone going. You know, what was it? 8 for 8 today with your questions. You shed a lot of gems to people who are listening, going to be tuning in and listen to this show. and I'm saying this on record, bro. This is one of my favorite shows that we've done. So I honestly really do appreciate you jumping on with us today, and we thank you, and stay safe during this tragic time, and we hope that you don't have to go through any bad times through this pandemic.
Yes.
Man, I appreciate that. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for putting me up there in the legend category. So great.